If you're stretching for 15 minutes before you squat heavy, you might be shutting your strength off before the bar even leaves the rack and leaving a lot of gains on the table. So, if this sounds like you, then I'm going to teach you how to properly stretch so you can maximize the benefits of the workout and get the most that you can out of it and grow the most muscle possible. Let's start with something most lifters were taught growing up. You show up to the gym, you stretch for 10, 15 minutes, hold each stretch for 30 seconds, loosen everything up, and then you go lift heavy. Here's the problem. Passive static stretching sends a sedative signal to your central nervous system. It literally tells your brain, relax, down-regulate, reduce tension, right? So that might feel good, but heavy lifting doesn't require relaxation. It requires tension. Muscle stiffness, that tight, elastic resistance in the muscle, is critical for producing force. When you hold a hamstring stretch for 30 seconds, you temporarily reduce the very stiffness your body needs to generate explosive power. So now you step under a heavy squat bar and your system is neurologically calmer than it needs to be. You feel flexible, but you're dangerously underprepared for high intensity mechanical tension. Flexibility isn't readiness. Readiness is just neural activation. And that brings us to the shift. So I want to take a second to just go over the science of something called neural priming. So before we talk muscles, we need to talk about the nervous system. So strength is neurological first, and it's actually muscular second. Your body recruits muscle fibers based on demand, and this is called the size principle. So low threshold motor units fire first, and high threshold motor units, the big powerful fibers, are reserved for emergencies. So believe it or not, most lifters never even truly access those fibers. And it's not because they're weak, but it's just because they never signal enough intent early. So neural priming is what flips that switch. Instead of starting relaxed and hoping to ramp up, we begin by telling the brain maximum tension is going to be required for this. And when you send a high tension signal early, the brain unlocks those fibers that normally stay dormant, and you go from neural inhibition to neural potentiation. Now you can really get that working. So that means your first working set doesn't feel like a warm up. It feels powerful, it feels explosive and connected. And that's a massive advantage because the first working set sets the tone for the entire session. So, moving on from neural priming, I want to go ahead and further discuss the dynamic isometric protocol, right? So, it sounds a little complex, but it's super simple. And here's how we do it. Instead of passively stretching, you're actually going to apply maximal intent against an immovable resistance, right? So, just a steady resistance, right? This is called a dynamic isometric. You're not moving weight, you're trying to move something that will not move. For example, you can set a bar in a rack at mid range height and just push against it as hard as possible. So you give 100% intent for 6 seconds, and this is the explosive hold method. You don't ease into it, you just attack it. Max force, maximum neural drive for 6 seconds. And you might be wondering why six? And it's actually because that's long enough to reach peak motor unit recruitment without inducing fatigue. So it's right on that sweet spot. So you're peaking the recruitment curve and you're not exhausting it. So you're kind of activating it in its fullest potential. So during that hold, something interesting happens in the muscle. The muscle will begin to vibrate and not shake from weakness, but oscillate from high neural firing. That vibration is a sign that your nervous system is online. From there, you transition directly into your lift, and suddenly the weight feels different because you've already touched the maximal tension before touching the bar. So now this set you're about to get into is going to be way better with this warm up. So now that we've kind of gone over the science of neural priming and the dynamic isometric protocol, we're going to go ahead and discuss how to integrate the intention into your lift. So this isn't just theory, you can apply this immediately. For example, the pin press, where you set the bar just above chest height and you press into the pins as hard as possible. For 6 seconds, just explosive intent, and then you rest for 30 to 45 seconds. And then you perform your actual press. You'll feel immediate carryover, right? So give that one a try. Or example two is the dead stop pull. So this is where the bar is on the safety pins. And you're going to go ahead and pull against it without it moving for max effort for 6 seconds. And then you can go ahead and load your working set, and you'll feel instant feedback. You'll feel the activation. So you've already felt peak fiber recruitment before the real weight even moves. So that enhances the mind muscle connection in a different way. So it's not light squeeze reps and you're not chasing a pump, but feeling what 100% neural output actually feels like. So now when you lift, you know what full tension is and you chase that sensation. So now that we have those down, let's continue on into what I call the 3 minute pre-lift sequence. And this is a practical protocol. The total time, it just takes 3 minutes. So step number one of this is just 30 seconds of dynamic joint prep. So this is just controlled leg swings, arm circles, and just mobility under tension. And then you're going to go ahead and move to step number two, which is just 2 rounds of explosive holds. So 6 seconds max effort, 20 to 30 seconds rest. That for 2 rounds. Easy, simple, and extremely effective. For the final step, step number three, this is going to be one light ramp up set with full control, 3 to 5 reps, focusing on speed and tightness. And that's it. That's how you replace a 15-minute passive warm up with 3 minutes of neurological activation. You're not sacrificing safety. In fact, you're enhancing it because an activated nervous system stabilizes joints far better than a relaxed one. So, this is where the crucial point hits. This is compounding gains through your intensity, right? So, here's where this becomes powerful long term. If your workout starts at peak recruitment, every working set becomes more effective. You need less volume because more fibers are involved from rep one, more mechanical tension, greater hypertrophic signaling, and less wasted energy. So over time, your nervous system adapts. You become someone who can turn on muscle mass on command. So that's a neurological skill. And like any skill, it improves with repetition. So instead of needing 3 sets to feel strong, you feel strong immediately. And that compounds. So more effective reps, better recovery, stronger signal, and a faster adaptation, right? So here's what I want you to do. Your next heavy compound lift, skip the 15 minutes of static stretching. Try one explosive isometric hold, 6 seconds, max intent, against something immovable. Then hit your first working set. Pay attention to how the bar feels. Pay attention to how stable you are, how connected, how powerful. You might notice something immediately because strength isn't just muscle, it's your ability to access it. And if you can learn to switch your nervous system on, you don't just lift heavier, you lift with intent. And that changes everything. So give this a try. This is intentional, focused, maximum output stretching to prepare you for the best lift possible. And let me know how you like it. If you like the video, drop a like, comment, share this with a friend, and subscribe to support the channel. I appreciate you guys for staying tuned. Peace.